Hello, students. Welcome to this session on voices, the fourth session on voices, where we are going to learn about rules to change from passive to active voice. In the previous sessions, we had learned about the rules to change a sentence from active to passive. But here, in this particular session, we are going to learn about rules to change sentences from passive to active. Right? Okay, let's quickly recap what happened in our previous sessions. Well, in the previous sessions on voices, we tried to understand meaning of voices. What exactly are voices? What are their role in our day-to-day conversations? How do we use them, right? So we try to know all these things. And we also knew about, as I told you, the rules to change sentences from active to passive. And similarly, the do's and don'ts of voices were given attention, right? So when should we use, active, when are passive voices used, and what are the points to be kept in mind when we change sentences from active to passive? All these things, all these miscellaneous things are also given importance. And with examples, we try to change sentences from active to passive from all the 8 tenses, right? So from all the 8 tenses, we try to know how sentences are changed from active to passive. Right. Now, in this particular session, let's know. So how do we change sentences from passive to active, right? So let's know the rules first. So this is exactly the opposite what we try to follow when we change the sentences from active to passive. Now it is exactly opposite, right? So look at the first rule. Subject of passive voice sentence should be object of active voice sentence. Vice versa. Similarly, object of passive voice or agent of passive voice sentence must be subject of active voice. So there it was exactly opposite. Now this is the rule. And then when we changed the sentences from active to passive, we had introduced the form of be, and we had changed the main verb to its past participle form. Now exactly opposite. Now the form of be that is present in passive voice should be omitted. There it was introduction, but here it is omission, right? So now we are supposed to omit the form of be that is present in passive voice, and the past participle form of the verb that is there in the passive voice should be brought to its suitable form, right, according to the tense of the sentence. Mind you, you must pay attention to the tense of the given sentence in passive. If it is in, say, simple present tense, our main verb in active should suit the tense simple present tense. If the passive voice sentence is in, supposing past continuous tense, when you change that into active voice, our verb forms should be according to that particular given sentence. And mind you, we need to pay attention to the number and person of the subject of the passive or active as well. When we when we change a sentence from passive to active, we must look at the number and person of the subject in active voice, and according to that number and person of the active voice, the verb should be used, whether it is auxiliary verb or main verb, right? So our verb must go according to the number and person of the subject in active voice when we change a sentence from passive to active. Right? This should also be kept in mind. And at last, in active voice, in passive voice sentences, right, we have by a preposition before our objects. And now, when we change a sentence from passive to active, we need to remove that by also. Right? By should be omitted. Right? These are the three, important rules that we should keep in mind when we change a sentence from passive to active. ಓಕೆ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳೇ, ನಾವು ಕಳೆದ ಒಂದು 3 ಸೆಷನ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ವಿ. ಮೊದಲನೆಯ ಸೆಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರಡಕ್ಷನ್ ನಾನು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ, ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು, ಅದರ ಬಳಕೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ವಿ. ಎರಡನೇ ಸೆಷನಲ್ಲಿ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಒಂದು ವಾಕ್ಯವನ್ನು ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ನಿಂದ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಯಾವ ಯಾವ ರೂಲ್ಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಮೂರನೆಯ ಸೆಷನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ವಾಕ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಬದಲಿಸ್ತಾ ಹೋಗಿದ್ವಿ. ಅದರ ಮುಂದುವರೆದ ಭಾಗವಾಗಿ ಈ ಸೆಷನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕೇವಲ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸಿನ ವಾಕ್ಯಗಳನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ವಾಕ್ಯಗಳನ್ನಾಗಿ ಪರಿವರ್ತಿಸುವುದು, ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡುವುದು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ರೂಲ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವೋ ಅದರ ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಆಪೋಸಿಟ್, ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ಈ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬಳಸಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು ವಾಕ್ಯವನ್ನ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ನಿಂದ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲನೇದಾಗಿ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಈಗ ಅದರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ಅಂದರೆ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೇಮ್ ಒಂಥರ. ಇನ್ನು ಒಂದು ಬಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಫ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ರಿಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆನಂತರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಮೈನ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಈಗ ಅದನ್ನ ಅದರ ಸೂಟಬಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಗೆ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತರಬೇಕು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಫ್ ದ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್, ದ ವರ್ಬ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಗೋ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ಲಿ. If the sentence is a perfect tense sentence, the verbs that are to be used should follow that pattern, right? So they should be suitable enough to, they should be suitable for that particular tense of the sentence, right? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ವಾಕ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಕ್ರಿಯಾಪದಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬಳಸಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸೂಟಬಲ್ ಆಗಿರೋ ವರ್ಬ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಬಳಸಬೇಕು. ಒಂದು ವಾಕ್ಯ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ದ ವರ್ಬ್ ಶುಡ್ ಗೋ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ಲಿ. ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೈನ್ ಆ ವರ್ಬ್ಗಳು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗುವಂತ ಸೂಟಬಲ್ ಆಗುವಂತ ವರ್ಬ್ಗಳು ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಅಂಡ್ ಆಬ್ವಿಯಸ್ಲಿ ಅವರ್ ವರ್ಬ್ಸ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಗೋ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ನಂಬರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್. ಅದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಕ್ರಿಯಾಪದ ಅದರ ಆ ವಾಕ್ಯದ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿನ ನಂಬರ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪರ್ಸನ್, ವಚನ ಮತ್ತು ಪುರುಷ ಅದರ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಫ್ ಎ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್, ವಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇಸ್ ಟು ದ ವರ್ಬ್ when we have a third person singular subject in affirmative sentences. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಒಂದು ವಾಕ್ಯ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಸಿಂಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಅಫರ್ಮೇಟಿವ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅದರ ಪದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಎಸ್ ನ ಸೇರಿಸ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಐ ಗೋ ಟು ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಇಸ್ ಫೈನ್, ಬಟ್ ಹಿ ಆರ್ ಶಿ ಆರ್ ಇಟ್ ಗೋಸ್ ಟು ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಅಂತಾನೆ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಅದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ರಿಯಾಪದ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿನ ನಂಬರ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಎರಡನೇ ರೂಲು. ಇನ್ನು ಮೂರನೇ ರೂಲು, ನಾವು ಬೈ ಅನ್ನೋ ಪ್ರಿಪೋಸಿಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ನಿಂದ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಬೈ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ತೆಗಿಬೇಕಷ್ಟೆ. ರೈಟ್, ಐ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ರಿಮೂವ್ ದಟ್ ಬೈ ಪ್ರಿಪೋಸಿಷನ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್. change it from passive to active, right? These are the three rules to be kept in mind. Now look at an example. Music was practiced by us. Obviously, it is in passive voice. How do you know? We have two verbs here. Was a B form of verb and practiced a past participle form of verb. And such verb group can be found only in passive voices, passive voice sentences, right? So adana nodಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. And now when we change it, the sentence becomes we practiced music, which is an active voice. Now look at the note written here. So music, which is the subject of the passive voice sentence, has become object of active. Obviously, we practiced music. In active voice, the music has occupied the place of an object. But in the first sentence, the passive voice sentence, music is in the first position. It is in the subject position. But now when we change it, it goes to object position. Similarly, us, which is an object in passive voice, has become we, has occupied the place of a subject. It obviously it's changed form in active voice sentence. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೊದಲನೇ ರೂಲ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ನ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್, ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದು ನಾಮಪದ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದು ಹಾಗೆ ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಅಸ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್, ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ನ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್, ವಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅದು ನಾವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಗೆ ನೋಡಿದೀವಿ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಪ್ರೋನೌನ್ಗಳು ರೂಪವನ್ನು ಬದಲಾಯಿಸ್ತವೆ ಅಂತ, ಜಾಗ ಬದಲಾಗ ಅವುಗಳ ರೂಪ ಬದಲಾಯಿಸ್ತವೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅದಾಗಿದೆ, ಅಸ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ವಿ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಆಗಬೇಕು, ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ ಅಸ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಫ್ರಮ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೈಡ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಇನ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ರೂಲ್. And look at the second rule, right? Only in the passive voice sentence we have was as B form, and now we do not find that form of being active voice. We have removed it. The B form that was introduced in passive voice has been removed in active voice. And then remove madidi. And look at the main verb. The main verb in passive voice practice is in past participle form. And now look at the main verb in active voice. It is practiced. Mind you, the words may be same, but the forms are different. The practiced in passive voice is in past participle form, but practiced in active voice is past form. That's all. Only past form. Right? So they have changed form. And why it is past form? Because the sentence is in simple past tense. So we are supposed to keep the verb in past form. ಇನ್ನು ವರ್ಬ್ಗಳನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಎರಡನೇ ರೂಲ್, ಬಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂತಹದ್ದನ್ನ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದನ್ನು ತೆಗಿಯಲಾಗಿದೆ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬಿ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು. ಇನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಮೈನ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪಲ್ ಇದೆ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪದಗಳು ಸೇಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ವರ್ಬ್. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಬೇರೆ ಇರ್ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ವರ್ಬ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಸಿದ್ರೆ, ಈಗ ಈ ಸಾಂಗ್ ವಾಸ್ ಸಂಗ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಸ್ಯಾಂಗ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕದು ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಂದಾಗ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪಲ್, ಸ್ಯಾಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಅದು ರೂಲು. ಹಾಗೆ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕು, ಅದು ರೂಲ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಇಡೀ ವಾಕ್ಯ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರುವಂತ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ನ ವಾಕ್ಯ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ನ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ವರ್ಬ್ ಅನ್ನ ಇಡಲೇಬೇಕಲ್ಲಿ, ರೈಟ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಥರ್ಡ್ ರೂಲ್ we have removed by. So look at the sentence in passive voice. We have by over there before the object, but in active voice we do not have that by here because we have removed. We are supposed to remove. Preposition by has been removed in active. ಅದನ್ನು ರಿಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡಲೇ ಬೇಕು, ಅದು ರೂಲ್. ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇಂದ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಸೇರಿಸಬೇಕು, ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಇಂದ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅದನ್ನ ರಿಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಹೋಪ್ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ದ ರೂಲ್ಸ್. Okay, now look at the examples from simple present tense. Once again, we follow the same pattern. So we shall try to change sentences from each tense. Once again, we can change these sentences from 8 tenses, excluding present perfect continuous tense, past perfect continuous tense, future continuous tense, and future perfect continuous tense. So obviously, these 4 different tenses cannot be changed either from active to passive or from passive to active. So the rest 8 can be changed. So we shall take one by one. In the first place, we shall take simple present tense sentences. So how to change sentences from passive to active in simple present tense sentences. Look at the first one. Mango is eaten by my brother. Mango is eaten by my brother. How do you know that this sentence is in simple present tense? So there is only one form of be, that is, and looking at that be form, we can identify that this is in simple present tense. Main verb we need not check because all the main verbs in passive voice sentences they are in only past participle form. So main verb, it doesn't suggest the tense of the given sentence, right? So here only the auxiliary verb tells the tense of the sentence. As the auxiliary verb is a present form of verb, we can come to the conclusion that this is a simple present tense sentence. Not present continuous because there is no ing form of verb. Not perfect because there is no have form. Right? This is how you understand, you identify the tense of the given sentence. When you change it, so object of the passive voice, my brother, will come to the subject position in active voice, my brother. And is, which is a form of be, should be removed. And eaten, which is the main verb in past participle form, should come to eats. It should become eats because one thing, we are supposed to have the verb in present form. And as our subject is a third person singular subject, we add s to it. That's why it has become eats, not eat, merely eat. Right? So is removed, eaten has brought to the form of eats because of the subject and the tense. And now object of the active is obviously the subject of passive. So mango, which is a subject of passive voice sentence, has become object of active. So my brother eats mango. You cannot write my brother eat mango. Why we cannot write eat? Because our subject, my brother, is the third person singular subject. So in simple present tense, it's mandatory that we use s or es to the verb when the subject is a third person singular. Right? ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳ ಮೊದಲ ವಾಕ್ಯ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ ಈಸ್ ಈಟನ್ ಬೈ ಮೈ ಬ್ರದರ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈ ಬ್ರದರ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಈಸ್ ಈಟನ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತಿರೋ ಹಾಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಈ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಬೇಕು. ಹೇಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ವರ್ಬ್ಗಳನ್ನ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ವರ್ಬ್ ಇದೆ, ಬಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಫ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಈಟನ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ವರ್ಬ್ ಎರಡೇ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು. ಇನ್ನು ಈಟನ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸಿನ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಮೇನ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ಕೂಡ ಯಾವುದೇ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಅದು ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅದನ್ನ ನೋಡಿ ನಾವು ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಆಕ್ಸಿಲರಿ ವರ್ಬ್ ನೋಡಿ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಈಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ, ಒಂದೇ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅದು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿನ ಬಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದು ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರ್ಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಬಿ ನನ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕಿತ್ತು. ಅದು ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಿದ್ರೆ ಬಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಮೈನ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ಐ ಎನ್ ಜಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಇರಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಐ ಎನ್ ಜಿ ಫಾರ್ಮಿನ ವರ್ಬ್ ಇರಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇರಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಅದಿಲ್ಲ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಕನ್ಕ್ಲೂಷನ್ಗೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಇದು ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾತ್ರ. ರೈಟ್? ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ? ಆಕ್ಸಿಲರಿ ವರ್ಬ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದು ಬೀನ್ ಅನ್ನೋದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅದರ ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಆಕ್ಸಿಲರಿ ವರ್ಬ್ ಬಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಒಂದು ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನೋದೊಂದು ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಮೇನ್ ವರ್ಬ್ಗಳೆಲ್ಲದರಲ್ಲೂ ಕಾಮನ್, ಅದು ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್. ಆದರೆ ಉಳಿದವು ಬೇರೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಇಲ್ದಲೇ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಬೀಯಿಂಗು ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬೀನು ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇರೋದು ಬರೀ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋಂಥ ಆಕ್ಸಿಲರಿ ವರ್ಬ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇದು ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ. Look at the second example. Cricket is played by Gavaskar. So obviously our subject is cricket in passive sentence. Is played is the verb group and Gavaskar is the object by is preposition. And now Gavaskar will occupy the subject position in active voice. So Gavaskar, the sentence begins with Gavaskar. And is obviously it should be removed and played should be brought to its present form, play. And as our subject is a third person singular, we are supposed to add yes, plays. And the subject of passive voice has become object of active cricket. So Gavaskar plays cricket. That's all. Now look at the third one. Right? Thriller web series are enjoyed by people. Obviously, as this is Corona, as most of the people are sitting at home, either TV or web series or internet, right? So OTT, they are very, very popular. And there are so many web series in those OTTs. And thriller web series are obviously enjoyed by people. Now, which is your subject? Thriller web series. Object, people. Verb group, are enjoyed. Right. Now, people should come to the subject place in active voice because that is object in passive voice. So, people, then enjoyed, or should be omitted, B form, and enjoyed should be brought to its present form, enjoy. Mind you, we do not add yes or yes to this. Why? Because our subject people is a third person plural subject. In the above two sentences, our subject, my brother and Gavaskar, they are third person singular subjects. So we have added yes to the verbs eat, eats, play, plays. But here enjoy remains enjoy only because our subject is not a third person singular subject. It is plural. So enjoy remains enjoy only. And obviously thriller web series is our object. Right. So this is one example. I mean 3 examples. The fourth is same. And if you go to the next tense, present continuous tense, look at the pattern of the sentence. Mango is being eaten by my brother. Cricket is being played by Gavaskar. Thriller web series are being enjoyed by people. Library is being visited by students. Right? The same sentence has been changed to present continuous tense. Look at the first sentence. See, in all the 4 sentences, what is common in passive voice sentences? Being. Right? Being is common. Auxiliary verb, sometimes they change according to the number and person of subject. Is, are, am. Anyone can come here. And eaten remains same because it's a passive voice sentence. But you must notice the verb being ing form. So as it is ing form, you must come to the conclusion that this is a continuous tense sentence. And what continuous? Either present or past? Present continuous. Why? Because we have present form of be before being. So this is present continuous tense sentence. So mango is being eaten by my brother. Mango is subject, is being eaten is verb group. My brother is object. So my brother comes to subject position, my brother, in active voice. So being we need to remove because that was the verb which was introduced in passive voice. So we are supposed to remove it. And the other be form is should be retained. Only one we should remove. And here, as it is a continuous tense sentence, we are supposed to have a main verb in ing form, in present participle form. My brother is eating. And Subject of passive has become object of active. Mango. My brother is eating mango. Similarly, if you look at the third sentence, thriller web series are being enjoyed by people. People are enjoying thriller web series. Here it is are once again because people is a plural subject. Third person plural subject. Whereas my brother is a third person singular subject. That's why with my brother is goes, but with people are goes. Rest of the things, the same rule. People are enjoying thriller web series. Right? Okay. You can look at the other two examples. Uh, they follow the same rules. We shall stop here, and before we wind up, let us quickly, recap what we try to learn in this particular session. Obviously, we try to recall voices learned in the previous sessions. So, and then rules to change voices were recalled. Obviously, we try to recap. We try to recall about the rules to change a sentence from active to passive. Then the present session concentrated on changing sentences from passive to active. Obviously, you know that we've been trying to change sentences from passive to active. And sentences from simple present tense and present continuous tense were taken for study, as you know. So in this session, we learned only two types of tenses: simple present tense and present continuous tense. Right? So how to change sentences from these two tenses to active voice from passive voice. We try to learn these things. I hope you understood these things. Thanks for your patient listening. Thank you.